This is AFKast, the video game podcast. And here's your host, Malcolm Sheaver.
The next generation of consoles is on its way, and with a lack of E3 this year due to the coronavirus, PS5, or Sony in specific, did their own press conference this year for the new PS5 console. So that means that this week on AFKast, we are talking about the PS5 The Future of Gaming show that featured on the 11th of June. So definitely watch it if you want to see these trailers and whatnot. Alright, so first things first is that the first thing that ever appeared on their thing was that GTA 5 will be free on the PlayStation 5. And they even released a brand new trailer that was showing off everything like arena, different heists, just the world in general, races, that type of thing. And so it will be free on PS5 when it comes out, which is kind of cool. It just kind of sucks that you won't have like any progression in the game whatsoever. That's the only downside to it, is that everyone will have to start fresh, except for the fact that if you're like a PlayStation Plus holder, that for several months I think you get $1 million cash every single month, which is nice, I guess, but it's still not that worth it in my opinion, since you lose everything. And maybe there will be some way that you can transfer your account, but I don't think there will be. But then after they released that trailer, afterwards they said that all trailers from this point on were actually captured by the PlayStation 5 system. And let me just say that all the games from here on have really good graphics, like just stunning. So the very first thing that we see is the new Spider-Man PlayStation game, which looks amazing. It was just cinematic shots, and it's called Spider-Man Miles Morales, which it even showed that Miles Morales was going to be our main protagonist, and it looks like there might also be some hints of Peter Parker as well in there, kind of teaching him. But it's supposed to come out the holiday of this year, so fourth quarter, which is just amazing. And then the next one that was shown, that was introduced by Kazunori Yamachi. I want to say I said that correctly, but I probably butchered it. He's from Polyphony Digital, and they're releasing the new Gran Turismo, so Gran Turismo 7. And he was saying that he is really excited because in this one they are going to have a really good campaign mode, is what he was saying, and that it should just be a lot of fun in general. There are a lot of cinematic shots for both inside and outside of some of the vehicles, including ones that are on the racetrack. There was also some gameplay that was shown, so you could see like the menu, and then you can like the menu of like changing out cars and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. And then also this map where you can see like your home and stuff like that, and it cut to in the middle of a race on the track, and it's got all sorts of things. Like it shows you kilometers per hour, like usual. It's got fuel, it's damage dealt to the vehicle, kind of like your placement and what country you are compared to other racers on the track. So it actually compares countries, which is kind of cool. You've got laps, you've got racetrack map, you've got a up close version of that map as well, so you can see better in the surrounding area that you're in. You even have a rear view camera. I don't think that's been in any racing game yet. At least big one. I don't know about some of the smaller ones, but yeah. And then it also shows you how long you have been racing as well. There's like a timer. So those are just some of the things I saw. There were also some other icons and stuff that I don't recognize. I haven't played a lot of racing games. I would really get into them, but I don't have the money to get into racing games. So the next thing was Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. So this is a completely new story, and the dimensions are essentially collapsing on top of each other. Ratchet and Clank seem to get separated at some point, and there is even a new character that is introduced. And then the Marcus Smith, the creative director from Insomniac Games, which is making Ratchet and Clank, was kind of talking a little bit, and he was saying that you can use dimensional rifts to leap from planet to planet instantly, and it's a very smooth transition. There's also now ray traces on Clank, which is really interesting. And if you don't know what ray traces are, basically Clank will now actually reflect the environment that is around him instead of him just kind of having a shiny exterior. So that way it actually looks more realistic, which is really cool. And there's also more density added to the worlds, so basically more wildlife, and then also mentioned enhanced feedback from the PlayStation controllers makes playing the game a lot smoother, because when you jump into gameplay, you see that there is a weapon wheel, and so switching between everything seems very smooth. You can also be... One cool thing about this dimensional rift thing is that in the gameplay, you could even see that you're dealing with enemies from multiple different planets at the same time, or even just on the same planet. And they've really added combat areas as well, because they've made it so that way you can now have this rift tether, which there's like these orange rifts that are around, and you can basically grapple onto those orange rifts and basically teleport to that new location, which is really cool. And so they use this inside of combat areas to make movement kind of more dynamic and entertaining, so you can get around more. And it actually looks really good. And it doesn't look like there's going to be nearly as many sexual innuendos in this game as there was in the older one. So that's also a good thing. And then you also have a Square Enix game that is coming out, called Project Athia, and I think I said that right, but I'm not entirely sure. This one was another one that was just cinematic shots, and it is a very mythical looking world. I mean, you've got these crazy beasts that it looks like you'll show down with, so but it looks good. So, and then after that, we were seeing a kind of a view of the world or game. It wasn't, I mean, they are cinematic shots, but it was all cinematic shots of like slums and stuff like that. So saying cinematic shots kind of feels loose, but I don't know. But it's really interesting because this world has like all the people are kind of robots, with like the old style TV heads. And it's just kind of like a very dingy location. I mean, like I said, it's kind of like a slums type area. And it seems that you will actually play as a cat because you're playing, I mean, you see a cat in all the shots, walking through the different areas. You're basically following the cat, and it's even called Stray, so I'm definitely assuming you're going to be playing as the cat. And it'll be coming out next year, not this year, which kind of sucks. So yeah. Next, we have what I believe will be a PS5 exclusive game called Returnal, which, in my opinion, is a terrible name, especially since it doesn't really make any sense, in my opinion. It's made by Worldwide Studios, and it's basically a Groundhog Day situation. There's actually a couple of those in here. But essentially, the whole idea is crash, get attacked, and die. I mean, the character literally says it over and over again, that is what happens. So, like, basically you're crashing on an alien planet, and if your character dies, it all resets. So basically you go and you crash on the planet again. And it seems that the world changes every time as well. And this is definitely a horror game, by the way. And I'm kind of hoping that it doesn't actually make you reset every time you die, because that seems like it could get frustrating. And that's hard to do with keeping people entertained as well. But maybe since the world changes every time, it could still suck you in, and you can still be interested, especially since you can basically explore these different versions of the world, which is pretty cool. So next we have a Sumo Digital game, which is Sackboy, Big Adventure. So a Little Big Planet game, which is just amazing. I mean, I haven't even thought about Little Big Planet in such a long time. But you've got some new music, but you got the same sound effects in the game. And it looks just how we remember, just probably when we go back to play the game, it'll probably be a lot worse graphics, so there's that. But it also looks like there will be party play again, which is really cool, and it looks to be up to 4 players in that party. So, I mean, this definitely seems like a game that would be a fun flashback to go with your friends to play this game when it comes out. And yeah, it looks like Little Big Planet, and I mean, I'm sure it'll play like it too. That'll just be a very good nostalgic trip to have. It'll be amazing. They didn't show much of it. They kind of just showed different areas and stuff that Sackboy was going through. So, or that the party was going through. They showed some party play as well. But they didn't really show many of the puzzles or anything, so I can't really say too much about it. But yeah. Now the next game looks amazing, and it looks super fun. It's called Destruction All-Stars, and it's made by Lucid Gaming. And it basically looks like a destruction derby, but for Rocket League players. I mean, this thing is like you're basically running into each other with different cars and stuff like that, trying to destroy each other. And I mean, this arena looks insane too. I mean, you've got ramps, you've got obstacles, you even have like things that will actually destroy your car itself. And it's not like just a normal kind of bowl shape either, or like a oval or something. I mean, this is like a crazy looking arena. And I mean, these cars even look like they have special abilities and stuff like that. Like one has a boost, one has this giant blade on the top of it, one of them has like, I don't know, this like ramming thing that can go onto their car that you can like activate and stuff like that. And it seems like you can even play as the drivers on the field and like jump on top of cars and sabotage them and stuff like that, which is just even more crazy to think about. But I mean, all they showed was everything getting destroyed. So I, once again, I can't really say much about this. They didn't show any like HUD or anything. So all I saw was drivers, and also, I mean, the drivers and the cars look super customizable too, and I really hope they are, because that would be awesome. But it's very cartoonish as well, so that makes it all the better. And it definitely looks like a Rocket League game, honestly, just Destruction Derby version of it, basically. So it's really cool. The next game is by Ember Lab. And this is called Kena Bridge of Spirits. And this is another kind of mystical game, except for this is kind of on a lower tone, it seems like. It's kind of your character's trying to help out these like really cute looking and troubled, apparently, spirits. And they even seem like they help you as well, like, because I saw them like carrying this object for you to like solve a puzzle maybe. And it definitely seems like a game where it's like destroy evil in order to bring about life, because there was this, they showed like the end of this boss fight, I believe is what it was, and then when it got destroyed, all of this decay and destruction that was around it turned into like flowers, grass, trees, everything like that. So it looks like a very interesting game to play, and I mean the landscape looks beautiful as well. It looks really well done, and it looks like the story will be really engaging too. So, yeah. Another game that was shown was Goodbye Volcano High, and this is a narrative adventure game. Very dramatic as well. It seems like it'll be like it seems like it'll fit in the drama area. I mean, obviously, narrative adventure games usually are. This is kind of like seniors in high school type situation, with dinosaurs as people, basically. I can't remember the word for it. Something morphic, I think. But this will be coming out next year, and it's made by Co-op. So yeah, it looks really good, and it looks like the story that they have set up for it will also be pretty good. I mean, high school drama is a very popular topic, but but you can still make it work even with the topic being overused, especially since it's not usually dinosaurs as people. So yeah. And then you also have a Oddworld Inhabitants game, and it's called Soulstorm. And this looks like an action adventure game, and it's like the people said that like this is supposed to be a really funny game and stuff like that, but it also looks very intense at the same time, which is probably why it's gonna be funny. But it looks kind of dumb, on purpose kind of dumb, not like I'm criticizing it type of dumb. But you're kind of like leading a group of people in some areas too. I don't know if you've played like, I can't even remember the name of the game, but like the one where like you have to gather all of these people from this like apocalypse type area, and like they'll get killed and stuff like that, or separated from you. It looks kind of like that, but 3D instead of on a 2D platform, which is really weird. But yeah, it looks. I'm not entirely sure how to describe it. I mean, a lot of these, or not a lot of these, but some of these you definitely have to watch the trailer because there's not really a good way to describe them, especially since some of them are just cinematic shots. They're not really like diving into anything. So, but the next one is Ghostwire Tokyo, which kind of dives into more because it's more of a supernatural horror-ish game. And this is the type of game where it's like this is the type of story where it's like only you can see them, only you can hear them, that type of thing. So you have to like kill these beasts before they become known in the world and destroy Tokyo and stuff like that. So yeah, but the actual fighting mechanics and stuff seems very fun and engaging. I mean, it's the very typical Japanese type fighting where they're making different or like anime type fighting where they're making different like shapes and stuff with their hands to create these different powers and whatnot. But the actual fighting itself seems very like fun and engaging, like I said before. And it looks like it'll be smooth too. I mean, this stuff looks really cool, but also very creepy. So, I mean, Supernatural usually does that for you. So, but the next game, which is very interesting looking game, this is another one that you kind of have to watch. But it's called Jet the Far Shore. It's made by Super Brothers and Pine Scented. And this looks like kind of an adventure game where you can explore different planets, or at least different parts of one planet. I'm not entirely sure. But it is coming out the holiday of this year. So there's actually a lot of games that are coming out at the end of this year. So definitely look out for these. But this one definitely seems interesting because it's kind of like an exploring space type thing, but I don't know, it's strange. But the next game to talk about is Godfall. So this is a counterplay game that is being published by Gearbox, and this is kind of a run and gun type game. I mean, this is actually a run and sword type game. It doesn't seem like there's any guns, but this is kind of just like Doom or Halo-esque, where it's kind of just running and firing through groups of enemies and stuff like that and trying to like just absolutely decimate things. I mean, it doesn't seem very story driven, and I don't know if there's gonna be multiplayer or not, but definitely looks like a run and gun type game where you're just gonna run through the story and absolutely destroy stuff. You're gonna be this super overpowered person that just decimates everything, which, I mean, I'm fine with. Those games are fun. So, and this is another game that is coming out in holiday of 2020. So look out for this one too. And then you've also got Solar Ash, which is a very unique looking game. And it's an action adventure game, and it's another mystical one. I'm not entirely sure how to describe this because they didn't really give much for the trailer. I mean, it was kind of just your character is looking at these different landscapes. There's these cool creatures. You've got this really cool landscape. Yeah, so it definitely looks interesting, and it's coming out next year. And then we've also got a third Hitman that is coming out. So you've got new challenges, obviously, for Assassination. It's coming out January of next year, so basically holiday of 2020. And the gameplay, they showed some small gameplay, not much at all, and it wasn't even really gameplay, to be honest. It was kind of just cinematic shots of one of the missions, but you're in Dubai, and you actually climb one of the skyscrapers, and go inside of it, and obviously are assassinating people inside of it. So it definitely seems intense, so yeah. Then you also have a game that Sony's actually releasing, like themselves for PlayStation, and it'll actually be preloaded on the PS5. And this is based off of their mascot, which is the little Astrobot. It's called Astro's Playroom, and it basically just looks like a worse version of Little Big Planet or Sackboy. Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like they're just taking that concept essentially and making it into their own thing, which is fine. I mean, it's not like actually exact copying of Sackboy, but it's definitely like this area where you solve puzzles and there's these strange creatures. Not everything's knit though, so it's not it's not the same art wise either. Um, but it's definitely an interesting looking game. And I don't think it's gonna be that big of a game. I don't think it's gonna be that popular at all or anything. But it looks like just like a little something that you can play, just to take it easy, I guess. I don't know. But the next game to talk about is Little Devil Inside. This is another very interesting art style that they have going on. This is made by NeoStream, by the way. And this looks like a cartoon version of a monster hunting game. And it looks like there's a lot of cool exploration. There's also like this city counterpart, where it's like I think you hunt the monsters and then bring them to this person in the city who like dissects them and like looks at them and stuff like that. I could be wrong about that theory because I mean all they showed was him dragging in one like a monster and throwing it on the table while the guy who lives in the city like puts on gloves. So I'm assuming that's what it is, but it also seems like there's like armies, there's gonna be dragons, there's these really cool creatures. I mean, huge creatures, creepy creatures, cute creatures, cute but deadly creatures. I mean, you've got the whole nine in this game, and it looks very interesting, especially when you have unique art type games. You can really add in anything that you want. When you try to make something that looks more realistic, you kind of usually have to try to make something that kind of resembles some kind of dinosaur or humanoid of some kind. But in this game, since it's just an interesting style, they really have done away at like a lot of interesting creatures. So yeah, I think it looks very cool. And the next thing that we see as well is the new NBA game, NBA 2K21. And oh my gosh, like they didn't show any gameplay or anything. They just showed a person basically dribbling a basketball. So weird, but it looks very weird, or not very weird, very real. I don't know why I said weird. It looks super real. I mean, it's super real that it's surreal. I'm sorry. But it's coming out this fall. I mean, just like how it usually is, but yeah, it looks very realistic, and I'm kind of interested to see, and it said that was gameplay from the beta version of the game. But I mean, it didn't look like gameplay. I mean, it was kind of just dribbling a ball in like a dark gymnasium, kind of like how basketball commercials usually are. So I don't know. So it'll definitely be an interesting thing to see, kind of the difference between this game and previous ones, to see how realistic it looks, and kind of see it in a full court action type situation. So that'll be interesting. Now this next game, I just have to say, WTF? What the? Yeah, okay, so this game was made by the creators of Octodad, and if you know what Octodad is, you already know that it's going to be really strange. This is called Bug Snacks. Now, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start with this. It's like, I mean, it's quite literally snacks that are bugs. So, like, you see strawberries walking around on their leaves with, like, giant googly eyes attached to them. You also have, like, these sandwich caterpillars. You got, I don't even know. Like, an armadillo orange is what it looks like. Like, it would literally roll. And, this game, I don't understand. Because, like, when they eat something, part of them becomes that something. So, like, when the person was like ate a strawberry and they're like, delicious, and all of a sudden part of their arm turned into strawberries. I'm very confused by what this is supposed to be, especially at the end when they walk away and it starts to turn night and you see all of these bug snacks get together and they turn into this humanoid creature that like tackles the camera, and then that just ends I'm like, what is happening here? what is this game? I mean, it's so bizarre. I mean, but like I said, it was made by the people who made Octodad, so of course it's gonna be bizarre. I just don't know what to do with it. I don't know. Anyway, on to the next game, which is called Demon's Souls. And I mean, first of all, this game looks amazing. This is another horror monster slaying game. It seems like it'll be, but oh my gosh, it looks great, and it looks super. I don't want to say realistic because obviously it's a horror monster slaying game, so it's nothing in it looks realistic. But it definitely just looks real, I guess. Yeah, it looks cool. I mean, the actual creatures themselves look like they will be fun, challenging things to kill. That's for sure. And I don't know. They didn't really show any like actual like on foot gameplay. They kind of just showed different creatures that were like. There's just this one at the very end that just like absolutely was the size of a castle. That just towered over. So I mean, yeah, they kind of just showed cinematic shots once again, but either way, it looks amazing. The landscape itself looks amazing as well. Like before they actually started showing in the dark, gloomy side of things, like they just showed a bunch of the landscape in the game, and oh my gosh, was it amazing. It was so beautiful. I mean, like I said at the beginning, this was all captured on PS5, and all the games just look wonderful. But the next game is called Deathloop, and this is made by Arcane. And essentially, you're a character who's trying to escape a place where everyone is hunting you, basically. And then you also have to kill a bunch of targets before midnight, also. I'm not entirely sure how those two work together, but both of those things were said. So there it is. But essentially, every time that you die, you get reset back to the beginning, and then the hunt starts against you all over again. And you're apparently an assassin. I mean, obviously, since you're trying to assassinate people. But you have like this really cool gameplay because you've got this like nail gun that's kind of silent. You also have you can also get like this shotgun from people. You can have these like dual automatic pistols that will actually combine into a machine gun. And then you've also got like this teleportability. You've got some other powers like a nail blast and a floaty thing. I don't know what they're called. So but yeah, so you got all these powers and stuff to go against you, but it doesn't seem like you have much health. Like it seems like if you get shot, it's done. Like you have to anticipate people's moves before. And this is another game that I'm worried that it'll get too repetitive and people will get annoyed with it. So that's kind of where I think it was a good idea where they added this part in, where there is an assassin that is working against you that I'm pretty sure is another player that you will play against. So I'm wondering if these are actually like smaller missions, either that or it's like an online thing that you can do, or you have to play co-op, or maybe there's just an AI or something. I don't know. But it definitely seems interesting, and it seems like it would be very fun to mess with the different powers, weapons, and abilities, everything like that. It seems very fun gameplay-wise. I just have to say that. Anyway, on to the next game. Another horror game. And this is actually the next Resident Evil game. Resident Evil 8, and it's called Village. And it's quite literally what it sounds like. I mean, you're in a village. And there's even a bit of hint of betrayal in the story. It looks very intense, but then again, every Resident Evil looks very intense, so that doesn't really help. But it's coming out next year, sadly, not holiday 2020. Actually, it's probably a good thing because so many things are coming out this holiday, which is good and bad. But yeah. Anyway, the next game is called Pragmata, or Pragmata. I don't know how you pronounce it. Pretty sure it's Pragmata, but it's this game's actually said it's releasing 2022, so not even next year, which is very sad. But this game doesn't look very fleshed out, even in its trailer, honestly. It's very paranormal. There's another weird combination of things, kind of like how Death Stranding was, where you had Norman Reedus, and you also had the the baby that was in there, and then now this game is like this weird astronaut looking dude, and this random girl, and also like this holographic cat. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, but essentially it looks like you actually have this tool rack that can make different like items and you can dispense them, which is kind of cool. But besides that, there's not much besides like you were in this like fake planet, it looked like, and a satellite crashed into it, and then you got sucked out into space, and then suddenly you're on the moon where the little girl can somehow breathe and you're looking at the Earth. So if that doesn't confuse you at all, then I don't know what will. So on to the next game, which I have been looking forward to for so long now, which is Horizon 2, and it's called Forbidden West. And oh my gosh, this game once again looks so beautiful. I mean, yeah. And it sadly, it looks like the premise is the same, where it's another metal demon that is killing off life. So kind of a repeat, which is kind of bad, but they could also change the story enough for it not to feel the same. So they have to be careful where they're stepping for this one. But it looks like there's new tribes, new machines, obviously. You got like the snapping turtle, you got like boars, really cool. Which is, it kind of interests me that they have machines that are giant boars, because in Horizon Zero Dawn, there were actual boars that you could kill for their meat. So that seems kind of random and weird that they have both mechanical ones and real ones. So I'm not entirely sure what their explanation is behind that, but it also looks like there's a lot of underwater adventure. Like, it looks like you have this device that was kind of like in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, where it allows you to breathe underwater. And there was actually a freaking building that looked like it was a bar, actually, which is kind of funny, that was underwater. So I really hope there's like some underwater adventure stuff that you can do to a really big extent. And I mean, once again, this is just like any other massive expansion of an open world game, where you have like beaches, snow-capped mountains, deserts, jungles. You've got all these different locations that you can go to. I'm guessing there's also going to be swamp type areas for the turtles. The turtles are huge too, which is just awesome. But yeah. So now that's all the game trailers. So now to talk about the actual PS5. So the PS5 has released that they're going to have 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. For some reason, they always have to have Blu-ray. I don't know why. But it also has an ultra high-speed SSD, which is really nice. It's got some enhanced ray tracing, as we also heard from Clank in Ratchet & Clank game. He will have some really good ray tracing going on. And there'll also be some 3D audio, so basically that's just enhanced audio where you can actually hear everything around you a lot better. Like, you can tell what is left from right, or in front of you or behind you, instead of just hearing the noise in general like older games were. And then you also have the new controllers, which is the DualSense wireless controller. It kind of is the size of an Xbox One controller, and it looks about the same. And it's got haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, it's got a USB port, motion sensors, built-in microphone, and an integrated speaker. So I don't think the current controllers have the built-in microphone, but they do have the integrated speaker. And the integrated speaker is used in very interesting ways in some games. But anyway, it also has a headset jack, which I was honestly worried about with these next-gen consoles, if they're going to be releasing controllers that were not going to have a headset jack. Because for some reason, other companies are trying to make the decision for you of what headsets you can have, which kind of annoy me. It wouldn't matter for me because I do have a Bluetooth one. But in general, it's still just like a don't make that decision for me type thing. So I'm glad they kept the headset jack. And then there's also charging stations for the controllers, once again, that you can have. Since these are bigger, I'm assuming you can't use the old ones, which kind of sucks. But yeah, you can also have an HD camera that hooks up to your PlayStation, a Pulse 3D wireless headset that is specifically made for the PlayStation. And then you also have a remote for the PlayStation, which is really cool. Then you can either get a disc or a digital version. Basically, the digital version is the disc version just without the port for actually putting in discs. And the reason that you might want the disc version is because you could play not old, but like play PS4 games on it. You will not be able to play all but some. I think their goal is kind of like Xbox One, where they're hoping to transfer a lot of Xbox 360 over. But they're only starting out with the top 100 current games that are at the top of the list for PlayStation. I think they're only starting with that. And it kind of sucks that it's not doing anything like the Xbox Series X is doing, where it can take every version of Xbox generations worth of discs. But I still think that this is just going to be an amazing platform. And I hope this time when they say that this is the last generation, they actually mean it, because that's what they said before both of them released, that they're making a next-gen console. But yeah, so that's all I have for today on the new PS5 and the new games that they released. That was all that the Future of Gaming show was just those trailers and kind of talking about some of the specs of the new PS5, which you can also find on the Sony website. So definitely make sure you check that out if you want to see all the full specs, or if they're probably going to update some of the specs as well. Maybe not by much, but definitely some, especially since that's mostly software stuff at this point. But yeah. Anyway, make sure that you check out our Patreon, especially since this thing is probably going to be expensive. And I do want to actually review the PlayStation 5 itself, and then also PlayStation 5 games when they start coming out. Because I don't think that you're going to be able to play PS5 games on the PS4, which I was really hoping for. But I'm still not entirely sure on that front. So we'll have to see. But also in general, funding would be really good thing. I am going to try to be getting sponsorships soon, so hopefully that works out. But yeah, game on.
Find AFKast on Instagram and Twitter @AFCommunity for any updates on future podcast episodes. If you want to join the community Discord, find the link in the description or on the website afcommunity.com.